In this video, I want to talk about something that I want to talk about. Real Yogi, Dolama Mantas. Who gave you the name Real Yogi? The answer is myself. I gave myself the name Real Yogi. The question is, Real Yogi, Dolama Mantas, don't you think this is an arrogant thing to do? Give yourself a name of Real Yogi? Like showing everybody that you are serious and you are the real yogi, the one to be looked upon. What do you think about this, Dolama Mantas Real Yogi? What can you say to this? And what I can say to this, why I have named my channel Real Yogi, and why I have been why I took this name, so to say. Well, I have been practicing what for me is yoga already for many years, more than 20 years. That's a long time. And the way I have lived it and the way I have practiced it is not that I hadn't taken Ashtanga Yoga 200 hours teacher course to become a yogi. No, I hadn't taken any course whatsoever. I don't have any papers accrediting or showing that I'm a yogi. I have no papers at all. But I don't need any documents, because my whole heart and my whole inner being is tattooed, tattoos, written in tattoos with endless yogic practices of breathing and mantras and asanas and all kinds of practices which energetically leaves an imprint in you. So, as I say, I have some tattoos, such as Dolama tattoo, and some other tattoos that I have. But within myself and deep in my being, I'm all tattooed more than anybody can imagine. With my practices, with my mantras, with my everything, I have colored myself. I have worked on myself for so many years that the blood that is flowing in me is the path which I have walked, which for me stands as yoga. And yes, I have I would say, surprising, incredible life path of how it all started in the sect when I was 18 years old and left the sect when I was 19, and trying to survive my insanity and being possessed by demons. I will not get into this now. Trying to save my sanity, this is how my meditation started and my yoga started, with my self-inquiry. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Which led me to other yogic practices, which led me to pranayamas, which led me to asanas, which led me to mantras. And it was very intense living. I lived as a hermit in the forest, or close to the forest, in Lithuania, as a simple hermit, and you can still see it on my YouTube channel, Simple Hermit Days. Then after living for maybe 4 years in Lithuania as a hermit, as a simple hermit, I finally left Lithuania. I went to the Himalayas. My plan was to live in some cave until I reach enlightenment, or I die from hunger or from cold or from wild animals. I have spent some time in India. I have spent about 1 year in the Himalayas. I was, what age was I? I was 20 something, maybe 23, or I don't know. At that time I didn't even know how old I was. And I remember when people would ask me, how old are you? I would tell them, I don't know. And they would be thinking that I'm kind of joking. But when they would understand that I'm not joking, they would be surprised. And yes, I've been in India, I've been in the Himalayas, which was another chapter in my spiritual life, which gave birth to Dolama. The name of Dolama gave birth to this tattoo, which is my Tibetan name, let's say, my spiritual name, that many people know me by this name as well. Even my son, Cory, 12 years now, who lives in Lima, apart from me, he calls me Dolama, Do. So India, and after India, yeah, I have lived different things, but after that I moved to South America, and I have lived here in Latin America for many years, since 2009, I guess. My shamanic path had started. I started taking the plants of ayahuasca, of San Pedro, of other plants. I was surprised myself that I had healed uncurable disease, my rheumatism arthritis, juvenile arthritis that I had for many years. I have healed it dieting Chiricsanango master plant for 1 month, and it's been already 12 years ago. I still don't have any pain in my bones. It had completely healed rheumatism arthritis, which is uncurable disease to hospitals, and I healed it with master plant Chiricsanango, which I actually give to people who come to my retreats now. So I walked this path of shaman, but even more, I've been always walking the path as a yogi. And throughout my life here in the South America, I have done many retreats in different places. As I was younger, I was hiking with my backpack and with my tent, and I would camp in the most beautiful places in Peru, far away from any people, snow-peaked mountains and beautiful rivers, and I'm blessed. I have seen many incredible, beautiful places where I did my own retreats of weeks or even months, doing my practices, doing my pranayamas, doing my self-inquiry, my meditation, my kriya practices. But so I have practiced yoga for many years. However, when I hear the name real yogi, what I remember the most is when I became a father to my son Cory, and I lived in Lima, in the capital of Peru. I have lived there for 4 years actually, with my ex-wife and her parents. We lived in the same house in a kind of ghetto place in Lima, kind of poor neighborhood, dangerous neighborhood, which was also an interesting experience for me. The only gringo, so to say, the only foreigner in a poor ghetto in a dangerous part of a dangerous city in South America. But I'm blessed, I'm happy that those years I have lived in Lima and with my son since he was born. I've been teaching yoga, asanas in the city, in the parks, in the municipality. So I've been doing something that I love. I've been teaching asanas, I've been teaching postures. But real yogi, do you hear the music? They just made the volume, they cranked up the volume. Dolama Mantas is missing his virgin jungle house and wants to get away from the village. Okay, I'm getting back to my time in Lima. I don't like to talk much about my familiar situation, my ex-wife, because I don't talk about other people. But I would like to share something which always comes to my mind when I think about Real Yogi and the story how the name Real Yogi came to my life. It is because I found myself in a completely different reality. No more living in the nature, in the mountains with my tent. And now I was living in a big city, in a dangerous city. And I love my son. I loved myself, son, and I wanted to be with him. My responsibility of being as a father led me to have to embrace my life in a big dangerous city and seek my ways to not just to survive there, but actually move on and try to thrive in some ways, as I say. But the energy in the house was very different where I was living. My ex-in-laws and my ex-wife, because I've just changed the batteries and I continue about my Real Yogi story in Lima city. So this is a personal story to me, but the place where I lived and the family, my ex-wife, her parents, they didn't really know much about they didn't know anything about yoga. And the place where I've been also living, teaching yoga, people in that area, they have never heard the word yoga before. And it is interesting that at around that time, yoga became known more and more around the world. It became fashionable to be a yogi. However, in that place in Lima, in that ghetto place, so to say, most people have no idea what the word yoga means. And when I would try to explain to them, and I would say it is meditation, meditación, they would say, medicación. They would think that I'm talking about medicine, that I'm a doctor or something, because they wouldn't know the word meditation either in that place. Imagine. So I was the first one to bring yoga and meditation in a dangerous part in Peruvian capital. But that also meant that some people had hard time understanding what it was. And to my own family back then, my ex-wife and her parents, it was difficult to accept that. They, like my ex-father-in-law would say, "Is he praying to the devil?" When they would see me like standing and doing some nauli kriya, or turning my stomach in some weird, strange position, they would think that I'm doing some kind of... They wouldn't understand it. It would be suspicious to them. Christians, Mormon Christians, it would be suspicious to them, and they wouldn't like it. They wouldn't like it. So I grew to not wanting to have conflicts, let's say. I understood that they don't want to see me practicing yoga. And you know what I started to do? I started to practice in a concealed way. And I remember that I would have my mala and I would be doing my mantras or my whatever practice with mala at the house with them present, but I wouldn't want them to know that I'm doing yoga. So I would put something on top of my mala and I would cover it so that they wouldn't see it, and I would continue walking the mala while in my mind I would be doing some self-inquiry or some mantra or some breathing observation or something, and I would be going through my mala, but the mala is covered with my cloth so that they don't see, to save possible like conflicts, or I don't know if what I was doing was right. Maybe a better approach would have been to not conceal it. But I've been doing yoga and I've been pretending that I'm not. Back then I lived in. I remember the whole family, sitting in front of the TV and watching some news or something. And just to be a part of that family, I would sit together to watch TV together, to watch news together, just to be a part of them, to have a better relationship, let's say. However, I wouldn't be watching at the TV, and I would be watching slightly above the TV. While in my mind, I would be repeating my mantras or doing my concentration. I wouldn't be looking at the TV because I would know that it would distract my attention very easily. It distracts your attention. But if I look above the TV on the wall, I can still continue my my concentrations, my meditations on my mala hidden in my lap. Or I would go to lay down in the bed, tired. I would also have my mala and I would also hide it under something, and I would do relaxation. Laying in bed, I would go and relaxing my body part by part, doing with my mala. But I would also conceal it. And maybe this doesn't make much sense to you, but I was a real yogi. In the place that didn't want yogis. In the place, in the ghetto that didn't know what yoga is, and in the family that looked suspiciously towards this kind of practice, I was practicing yoga in hidden, so to say. I would wake up early in the morning to do some practice. Real yogi. This is where my inspiration or this word real yogi came to me. It is because I was a real yogi, not to the people who look up to yoga as wow, spirituality, wow, I have so much respect to you, you are a yogi, wow, much respect. No, I was a real yogi in a place which didn't welcome yogis. And this for me, in my experience, makes me, let's say, valuable or deserving, that I deserve this title of real yogi because of what I had really lived. It was always in my heart, even when it was not convenient to me. Real yogi. And this has been my life. Yoga is flowing in my veins. And what I mean by yoga is different practices to work with myself. And these are asanas, postures, these are pranayama breathing techniques, these are different meditation practices, so many different meditation practices, concentration practices, mantras, kriya techniques, all kinds of different strange body locks and different practices which I have been practicing for many years, which have built me, which have made me become who I am, which have transformed me, which have made me powerful. Before I started this path, I wasn't powerful. I wasn't the way I am. I wasn't open the way I am. I wasn't flowing with life the way I am. I wasn't grateful for life. I hated life. I despised life many years ago, before my spiritual path started, and even when it started. I went through a lot of things. And today, and what this real yogi thinks about today, I'm a father again, and again I have very little time for my yogic practices. But when I carry my sweetheart, 6 months, little old daughter Amaru Sundari, when I carry her, I chant Om. I chant other mantras. When I carry her in my arms, I try to do some yoga asanas, such as balancing poses, or some other asanas with her. I also do some training with her, lifting her in different ways to strengthen my muscles, which maybe doesn't count as yoga. Maybe yes, maybe no. It does count as training, but yoga is what made me be what I am. And even though today I'm still recovering after my identities, my real yoga identity also was shattered. It was really shattered with these diseases I have had, the fact that I almost have died physically, and the fact that now, being a father, I don't have time to do not even 4 hours of yoga every day. I have little time, but it continues as a story to me. It continues as an inspiration to me, that I know that even though it failed me, or I see it as it failed me in the moments where I needed it the most, when I was sick and almost dying. But maybe it hadn't failed me. Maybe if I hadn't practiced, if I hadn't been a yogi, if I hadn't practiced for all of those years, more possible than not that these diseases I have had would have killed me. I wouldn't be here to tell the story of my transformations. So, am I a real yogi still? I don't know. But I think that yes, because this is the blood that is flowing in my body. It has made me be. It has made me the way I am. This spiritual path I have walked, and the spiritual path for me was yoga, is what has changed me more than anything else on my spiritual path. Yes, shamanism had given me a whole new dimensions and profoundness and experiences, and wow, a whole new experiences and spirituality with shamanic practices, shamanic dietas. But the foundation of it all, the strongest foundation, is the yoga, is the meditation, is all of those years of grinding and practicing, because I know that this makes me better, it helps me grow, it helps me understand myself better, it helps me have a better life, it makes me more powerful to be what I am and achieve what I want. It makes me more powerful. And therefore I continue these practices. And right now my faith to this yoga, I'm slowly kind of starting to rebuild after these diseases, and myself feeling hurt, feeling that my practices, my yoga hadn't helped me when I was very sick. So I have opened to you my heart. What do you think about this? I would like to hear. Would be interesting to hear. It would be interesting to read. Maybe you would be interested to make a, what's the word, comment. What do you think about this? What do you think about my real yogi experience and my real yogi transformation right now? Because I was a hermit, but now I'm not a hermit. I'm a family man, I'm a householder. I'm concerned about making money to pay for the family things. I have responsibilities on my head, which is very different than hermit living. And yes, I've undergone many things. I have many different seasons and chapters in my life. And all of it, even those moments and those experiences which I hadn't enjoyed so much, such as the painful ones. They have actually helped to deepen me, open me, help me accept life the way it is, accept life and understand how grateful I am to be alive. I am grateful to be alive, indeed. So, just wanted to share with you this, the story of myself, open my heart, and I guess it is enough. Best wishes to you. Stay strong, stay loving, stay meditating, stay grateful to be alive.